Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their awakening. And this lovely lady to my left is Patty, my wife. I'm going to bring her on to have a little bit of a female presence to ground some of my heated energy I sometimes project. And we're going to talk about relationships a little bit, okay? Because I know a lot of you guys are in a relationship and a lot of you are married, and then you discover my YouTube videos or something, or some roundabout way that, hey, I'm going through this crazy awakening process. I'm changing everything about myself. How it's only natural to wonder, how is this going to affect my existing relationship? It can affect it in many ways, and me and my wife today are just going to share how ours was affected, because I started to go through mine. I'm ahead of her quite a bit, so no, just kidding. I started to go through my awakening first, and initially she had reacted like a lot of your spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever might have reacted. So I want to just get her take about that. I'll let her talk in a minute. Don't worry. No. Okay, so honey, when I started to go through my awakening, I told her I had a massive Kundalini awakening. It was insane. She was kind of there and a part of that. But after that, I explained to her, like, listen, I'm going through all this stuff. And she was a little bit, we'll hear from her on this regard. So how did you react when I told you some of the things I was experiencing?
Okay, so I had no idea what a Kundalini awakening was or any of that. So he's explaining this to me, and I'm thinking, this guy's freaking wacko. Like, what is he, what is all this that he's talking about? So I was just like, okay, I tried to remain non-judgmental to his face. But deep inside I was like, oh shit, he's nutso. But then I Googled it and I looked it up, and then I found out it was an actual thing. So then it totally eased my mind, and I was like, okay, this is something he's obviously experiencing, and just because I'm not experiencing this doesn't mean that it's not very real. So I tried to, remain calm about it, even though I was deep inside losing it a little bit. Is that?
Yeah, that's good. So that's obviously kind of more like a ideal scenario I feel blessed to have had. I know some spouses, they can just like, no, you're stupid. You're not going through that. And they just kind of dismiss it as something kind of insignificant. Some, if you're really in like a religious, household, I could see how that would go really south really fast. So it's not always easy, but I know when I was going through it, I just felt, even initially, that I knew, even though I wasn't at the time even clear about what it was, I knew it was a very profound thing, and I don't know. There was no turning it off. I knew that it is what it is. So, but her initial response was that of shock and like, oh my God, worry and concern. And she told me on more than one occasion she thought I was going crazy. Like, is he really losing his mind? So that's kind of common. But fortunately for her, as can happen, what I read, it tended to be the case with myself. So in the beginning, again, that was her reaction. My reaction to her was like, oh wow, she's not awakening. This kind of sucks, Are we going to drift apart? That sort of thing. But I eventually sort of triggered her into her awakening. Not in a very official way, but she just started to kind of mention to me that she's starting to experience a lot of the things I was at the time, which were like the Kundalini energy rushes, and kind of the mystical type of random experiences, the synchronicity and all that. So,
just for the record, I was experiencing those when I was a kid. So when I started experiencing them, having known what they were, then I was like, okay, so
She's a little bit competitive. We're going to have to just put up with that. No, I lost my train of thought. I'm not used to having someone on video, quite honestly. I don't know, this might be your last time. What was I going with this? You remind me, you're the one who cut me off.
I'm sorry. I don't even know. You said...
Yeah, so from my understanding, the higher vibration usually wins out, and not to say, oh, it's higher, but if you are going through an awakening, there is definitely a potential that you're going to trigger anyone you're living with, and you know, very well could be your spouse. So give them, I would recommend, give it time. Don't, you know, a lot of people who talk about the awakening say everything changed, I divorced, and all this like these crazy thing. It doesn't have to happen. This is a very, very individual process. And there's one more thing I wanted to kind of add, is that, oh yeah, even though she's like, in a sense, like, again, going through all the stuff I'm going through, she's going through an awakening, definitely. She doesn't really talk about it. She doesn't care about all this stuff like we do. It's not very interesting to her all that much. A little bit, but she's got her own quiet way of going about it. And this could easily be seen as, wow, she's not concerned with starseeds. Oh, wow, she's not messing around with tarot card or whatever. You know, a lot of the associated interests that can come along with an awakening, she doesn't have for the most part. And to the naked eye, it could seem, though, well, she must not be going through it. We must be drifting apart. We have different interests now. But that's not the case.
And I'm like, you know,
she feels I'm not accurately representing
well, no,
her.
because I do, like, get into all that stuff. I just don't verbalize it the same way that he does. So because everything that you do, you like tell me about, I'll like do it, I'll like Google stuff, and I'll be like, oh, and then you'll tell me about it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I talked about that, I read about that, and then you'll be like, what?
Yeah, so she does a little bit. But again, everyone's different. So just because your spouse isn't interested in my YouTube channel, other people's YouTube channels that are like this, or Kundalini books and all that kind of stuff, doesn't mean they're not a very awake and enlightened person. Doesn't mean they might not come around. There really is no way to tell. And the only way to tell is you're the best person to know what's going to happen. I would just let it unfold and understand that any change that happens is going to be for the best of both parties. There's one more thing I want to add. I'm just going to think. Sometimes I just stare at the camera as I think. I don't think either of us did a good job.
What?
I think it's a little bit too cutesy.
Too cutesy?
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I think it's just cutesy enough.
What the fuck was I gonna say?
I would like to add something, actually.
Okay, I still have yet to remember what I was gonna say. We'll see what she has to say. Hopefully it's something good.
If you are going through something, just from a spouse's point of view, if you're going through the awakening and your spouse is not, then the easiest way to, I would say, ease them into it is maybe mention it and feel them out first. Don't just, like, he kind of bombarded me with all this shit, and I was like, whoa. But if you kind of like maybe mention, like, oh, I heard so and so, I read about this, and see what your spouse thinks, you know, they may be more open to the idea than you think. So
yeah, I also think it's important to kind of reiterate my last point. It's not important that they believe what you believe. It's not important that they have they care at all about any of the stuff I talk about, light workers and stuff. People can go through this process without coming into any of this information. Just an expansion of their consciousness, and that's going to express itself in many unique ways, many of which, again, are not secluded, or what's the word, confined to stereotypical types of experiences that, like, you and I find interesting. I still don't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, I never remembered what I was going to say, unfortunately. Hopefully, if I do remember it, I'll let you guys know. Maybe it must not have been that important. So that was it, guys.
Maybe it was already said.
Maybe it was already said. We'll see. So that's it, guys. We'll see if we let her on again. I don't know. She has not yet to win me over. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I might bring her back on for another bit of advice that involves something that I would need her perspective on. And definitely, she's overcome some cool stuff that I can't really talk about, that I might bring her on as well. So anyway, guys, take it easy. Have an amazing day. Peace.